Okay. So, let's see, do I have? Correct me if I'm wrong, any specific ones on 1 through 8 that gave me a lot of trouble?
8.
Sure. Yeah, 8 starts off 2x, 3y plus z. And they tell you at the top that x is 2, y is 3, z is 4. Cool. They're kind of nicer than me, because I'll put some negatives in there, so you gotta watch out. So now you want to put in here, wherever you see x, you're going to put 2. Everything else stays exactly where it is. That x is 2, that 2 is still there, the parentheses is still there, the 3 is still there, y is 3, and z is 4. So everything else, that plus sign, the z is 4, everything's still in the same place. They just replace the letters with numbers, which is nice when we can do that. And now you just attack this thing. Right? What did order operations say you should do? Parentheses. So I'm going to leave this out here for right now. Inside here, what can I do? Good. 3 times 3 is 9. So you're going to add after you multiply, of course. Am I done in here? No. So don't forget that. Just if you do one thing in parentheses, it's not all of a sudden now you're somewhere else and you are. No, you're still doing that. You got to get it all the way down to a number. And then you can move on to something in the next step. So here's my 2 times 2. 9 plus 4 is 13. So now I got to...
4.
I like it. It's all multiplication, so I can just go to town. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 13, 52. Anybody play cards? 4 suits, 13 cards in each suit. There's 52 cards total. There we go. If you don't play cards, it's still numbers. Exactly. So I wanted to get to that middle section because I think that's the one that would give us the most trouble. Look, I'm just going to go straight through 9 to 13, and then I'll hit up whatever else. So here's the way to look at this. The very first one, number 9, says the sum of. All right, whenever I see that, they got to follow that up with at least a couple things that I'm going to put the plus sign in the middle of. I want to add. So it says add the next few things. That's what that means. The sum of a number and twice a number. So those are the 2 things that it wants me to add. The sum of a number and twice a number. So the sum of, so I know it's a plus sign. What 2 things am I adding? A number. I like it. And twice that number. 2x. And you stop there. Now some of you guys know that would be, what would that be? X plus 2x. Anybody know? 3x. That's all. If I have one thing I don't know, and you add 2 more of those things I don't know, well now I got 3 things I don't know. Right? But it didn't ask you to do any of it. Don't worry. You just stop right there. That's translating it into math. Is that cool? I like that sound. Number 10 is kind of straightforward, thankfully. The only one that really is evil is less than. And that's why I want to kill the less, because that makes it even more evil. So just the less than is the one that turns things around. This is direct. 7 decreased by a number. So I want to take 7. Good. Minus x. So 7 decreased by a number. Sweet. 11 is one I threw out, so let's do 12. 18 less than something. So what I normally do in that case, 18 less than something, I know it's going to be something minus 18. 18 less than 20 is 20 minus 18. 18 less than 30 is 30 minus 18. 18 less than stuff is stuff minus 18. Now I can just focus on what the hell is the stuff. What am I subtracting 18 from?
4x.
The product of 4 and a number, 4x. Product means multiply. Don't do this. Release that x symbol to mean, because it already means variable, so it gets a little freaky. You just have to put them next to each other. You don't even need any symbol in the middle. How are we doing so far? Okay. And you can see how math is a language, because this is really the grammar of the frickin' language. And that's, That's why we put the comma here, and it means this. That's kind of the level of this problem, and that's why people have trouble with this, and I don't blame you. 13 I threw out. Cool. So what about, there were specific problems? You said 16? Somebody? Okay, you said please. So the formatting is a little weird, so I don't know if you guys see it. It's for a solution to, there's a 3 as a part of this. So how do you check that?
Plug 4 into X.
Yeah, plug in a 4 into the X, good. 12 minus 8 is 4, which does not equal 8. So then, is 4 a solution? No. Don't say no solution.
Why is not?
Does it end up with this being true when you plug a 4 in? When you plug a 4 in, is this true? 3 times 4 minus 8, is that equal to 8? No, it equals 4.
Oh.
So therefore, it does not solve that equation. So that's what solve an equation means. It means find the values of the variables that make it true. I like it. You would, Jeff. So 17 has got a little more going on. Is 8 a solution to 4x minus 16 equals 2x? Yeah, wherever you see x, you put in 8. So 4 times 8 minus 16 equals twice 8. I love it. So then you have, and sure enough, 16 equals 16, check. Yes. You guys cool with that? That's what I mean. You could have like 300 x's, and I say x equals 7, you replace all of them with 7, and you just go to 10. I will not give you 300 x's. Any other ones that are? 18 says 7x plus 40 equals 5. Is x equal to 5 a solution? Right? So then you put a 5 in for x. 7 times 5 plus 40. 35 plus 40. 75, which is definitely not 5. So no. So hold off on solving these. I know a few of you guys know how to solve these equations. That's not what they're asking. Don't solve them. Just plug in the possible solution. I appreciate it if you know how to solve it already. Just don't do that yet. Oh, from the bookstore. All right. So I do want to get just a little tiny bit. I do have time. Sweet. Into the next section. And chapter 2 sort of starts off slow, which is nice, and then it gets into actually solving equations. Right, so at the end of chapter 2, we're going to be looking at different kinds of equations and how to solve them. Later in the semester, we'll do some more advanced equations. We don't get crazy. We're just going to put some fractions in equations, some decimals in equations. And like, why do you people have to do that? Because the real world has freaking fractions and decimals. And equations have to help us with the real world. So one thing I want to start with is looking at something like -5 and -3. Which symbol would you put between those? With this symbol, that symbol, or that symbol?
Middle symbol. -5 is less than 3.
I like it. The -3 is bigger. The -5 in this case is smaller. People get hung up on 5 is bigger than 3. Well, that's nice. That's not what it says. So in general, on the number line, the further you are down here, the smaller you get. And of course, in the other direction, you get bigger. So negative 5 is definitely further down than negative 3. So therefore, negative 5 is less than. And if you have any trouble with the symbols, and I don't know if you've heard about the alligator stupid thing, but I always like to think that the less than is like an L that's kind of fallen over. So less than L, that looks like an L. That one looks like an L, that one does not. You with me? A little bit? Doesn't that look like an L that had a rough day? So that's, to me, that's the most quickest way to remember. That's less than. And that's greater than. Cool. Well, you also got the little alligator wants to eat the bigger thing or whatever. That's nice. Yeah. If that works for you, use it. I like it. What about, let's talk about something that kind of freaks people out a little bit sometimes. Let me see how I put this. So we know what, like negative 2 minus 11, what would that be? Good.
Negative 13.
Negative 13. They're both negative. So the most direct way to do this, taking out all the holes in the sand and the filling in and the money and all that stuff, if they're the same sign, you add them and put the sign back on. So that's exactly what's going on here. They're both negative. So I add them, I get 13, and I put the sign back on. Sweet. Now, here's the difference. What's negative 2 times negative 11?
Positive plus 10.
Yeah, you got to multiply. So 2 times 11 is 22, and the two negatives
Cancel.
cancel. Now, I desperately want you guys to realize these are two different situations. I did not just contradict myself. I see a lot of people, once they start talking about this, everybody starts making this positive, and they say, Jeff, man, two negatives make a positive. What's your problem? Like, that's not the situation we talked about, right? Because when you multiply, the negative itself means, so if I have 4, negative 4 is the number that's exactly the same distance on the other side. You kind of with me? So negative 4 is the same distance away as 4 from 0. Is that cool? Semi? So? Some of you guys are looking at me like, you want to hurt me. So negative 4 is there. So what's negative 4? It's got to be the number that's the same distance away from 0 as negative 4 is. Well, what number is that? 4. So in general, then, the two negatives cancel each other out. And that's what I was saying the other day. One negative means sort of like, turn this way. You see how it is? I'm looking at 4, and I put a negative. I mean, turn that way. Look at that negative 4. And then another negative would be, so one negative, turn. Another negative, okay, turn again. All right, I'm right back to hell where I was. So those two negatives cancel. I would end up turning all the way back around to 4. Got it with me? Unfortunately for us, if I owe one guy something and another guy something, those two debts don't cancel. I'm not suddenly owed $13 from somebody else somewhere. No, too bad. I've tried it with my bank. You understand that? So you got to be real careful about when the two negatives cancel rule is in effect, and that's only when you multiply. Have any of you guys ever heard anything like that? I don't know if that helped or hurt. I don't know. Basically, what's going on here. Actually, I got like 2 minutes. One last thing I want to ask you. I can't remember if we talked about this yet or not. What's the absolute value mean? What's the absolute value do?
How long is the distance from 0?
I like it. So absolute value always makes it positive or 0 because it means distance from 0. And I think I was talking about that the other day about if I'm facing you and you're 4 feet away from me, you're still 4 feet away from me if I turn around. You're not suddenly negative 4 feet away. That's freaky. What would negative 4 feet away from something mean? It's inside it somehow or something? I don't know what that means. So absolute value talks about distance, and both of those numbers are 4 away. So absolute value will always make something positive. The mistake people make is when they see something like this, and they say, well, that's 7 plus 5, because Jeff just said it makes it positive. What number is actually inside here? 2. You can't make part of the number become positive. You kind of follow what I'm saying? This is on the order of operations. They're in the same order as parentheses. You have to do inside first. So don't make this 7 plus 5. No. You have to know what number you're doing the absolute value of before you can do the absolute value of it. Right? So 7 minus 5 is 2, and the absolute value of 2 is 2. Cool. All right, so we'll pick up there next time.